The 2025 NFL season is wide open. Division winners, wild cards, and surprise teams. Now try to forget sentimental picks or recycled narratives because we're diving into the most efficient metrics, DVOA, EPA/play, alongside strength of schedule, quarterback play, coaching shifts, injuries, roster moves, and offseason momentum to get the best bests when it comes to each division winner. So, here's the game plan. First, we'll break down structure. I'll break things down division by division, pinpointing both the smart money safety picks and the binge-worthy long shots that offer real upside. Then we'll break down wild cards. After each conference's divisions, we'll spotlight the most underpriced wildcard sleepers in both conferences. You'll walk away armed with sharp futures bets, not just talking heads, but data-driven angles that matter. AFC East. The Buffalo Bills are priced like the adult in the room, and the numbers back it up. Last season, they finished top 5 in total DVOA. Efficiency wasn't just good, it was elite. EPA per play had them near the top of the league, showing balance between pass and run. That's the kind of profile that carries over when the quarterback is the engine. And the schedule only tilts things further. For 2025, the Bills face one of the 5 easiest slates in football. Upset risk drops, consistency rises, and over 17 games. That matters more than hype. Now, glance at the competition. The Jets are tearing it down and rebuilding with Aaron Glenn at head coach and Justin Fields at quarterback. The Patriots have Mike Vrabel and Drake May, but a second-year quarterback doesn't usually deliver a division crown. The Dolphins? Sliding. Their roster is thinner, and analysts are already calling them a fade team. So the market posts Buffalo at minus 330. That's a 76% implied chance. But the numbers between efficiency and schedule argue closer to 80. That's why the chalk is still sharp. And if you lost here, let me break it down. The market gives Buffalo a 76% chance to win, with odds of minus 330. But analytics say they should be 80%. That small edge makes betting on them, even as a heavy favorite, a plus EV positive expected value play. That's why the chalk is still sharp. There isn't a glamorous edge here, but if you can shot this closer to minus 300, you created positive expected value. And in futures betting, sometimes the edge isn't about catching the long shot. It's about refusing to pay for a flashy mistake. The play is Buffalo. Chalky, yes. Justified, absolutely. AFC North. Baltimore is the favorite, and the numbers back it up. The Ravens sit at around minus 160 to minus 170. That means the market gives them about a 62% chance to win the division. Cincinnati is next at plus 260. Pittsburgh sits around plus 550. Cleveland is way out at 30 to 1. But look at what Baltimore did last year. They went 12-5. They became the first team in NFL history to post 4,000 passing yards and 3,000 rushing yards in a single season. They also stacked 40 passing touchdowns and 20 rushing touchdowns. Another league first. Their run game averaged 5.8 yards per carry, the second best mark in league history. That's dominance on both sides of the ball. Add in John Harbaugh's stability and a defense that stayed near the top against the run, and you see why odds makers won't budge. Cincinnati can score. Joe Burrow still drives one of the most explosive passing attacks in the league, but their defense was bottom tier. They gave up points in bunches and haven't proven they can fix it. Pittsburgh made the splashy move for Aaron Rodgers, but at his age, behind a shaky offensive line, the risk outweighs the reward. Futures aren't about dreaming, they're about probability. Cleveland is still in rebuild mode, not ready for a crown. That leaves Baltimore efficient, balanced, stable, and still priced fairly even as the chalk. The whole team ranks as one of the most complete in football. Power rankings put them in the top 5 league widely entering 2025, citing roster depth, offensive firepower, and defensive returnees. Best bet AFC North Baltimore Ravens to win the division at around minus 160. Not flashy, just sharp. AFC South. The AFC South looks wide open, and that makes it a place to hunt value. The Jaguars sit around plus 300 to win the division. That means the market gives them about a 1 in 4 chance. But the numbers say they might be closer to 1 in 3. Last year was ugly, 4 in 13. Bottom 10 in points and yards. Defense near the bottom 2. It ended the Doug Peterson era and forced a reset. Now they turn the page. A new head coach, a new offensive coordinator, and Trevor Lawrence still has the tools. This is make or break time. Here's the edge. Jacksonville draws one of the 6 easiest schedules in the league for 2025. That matters. Over 17 games, strength of schedule can swing a division. Look at the rivals. Houston is the favorite, but there are real questions after C.J. Stroud stepped back in a messy backfield. The Colts are steady with Daniel Jones, but steady doesn't win crowns. And the Titans are rebuilding around a rookie quarterback. So the door is open. If Jacksonville improves even slightly on both sides of the ball, they can smash that 25% implied number. Best bet, AFC South Jacksonville Jaguars to win the division at plus 300. A long shot on paper, but with real upside. AFC West? The Chiefs still wear the crown. 9 straight division titles, 17 overall. That's dominance. Right now, Kansas City is listed around minus 120. That's about a 55% chance to win the West again. The Broncos and Chargers sit around plus 275 to plus 300. The Raiders are way back at plus 1,500. But here's the shift. Kansas City is still dangerous, but the offense is starting to show cracks. Travis Kelce is aging. The defense is holding strong, but their margin isn't what it used to be. Meanwhile, Denver is rising. Bo Nix enters year 2 under Sean Payton. The roster is deeper. The defense is graded as one of the best in the league. Power rankings project them for 12 to 14 wins, with some models picking them to win the West outright. That's where the edge is. Kansas City is priced on reputation. Denver is priced on potential. If the Broncos hit even 80% of that projection, they'll push past the market's 25% implied number. Best bet, AFC West. Denver Broncos to win the division at around plus 275. A live underdog with real upside. So is there EV left? At this number, it's thin. You're paying closer to fair price. If you believe Denver truly has a 1-3 shot, then 257 still holds a sliver of value. If you peg them lower, it's a pass. Final verdict, at plus 257, Denver isn't a smash bet anymore. It's playable if you buy the 12-win ceiling, but the edge is slim. AFC wildcard picks. The wildcard is where sharp bettors find hidden value. Division winners get the headlines, but playoff spots 5, 6, and 7, that's where edges live. 5 seed, Kansas City, Chiefs. Denver is good enough to steal the division. That drops Kansas City into the 5 seed, still dangerous, still built for January, just not cruising like before. 6 seed, Houston Texans. Houston added depth on both sides of the ball, and their schedule isn't brutal. They may not have enough polish to beat Jacksonville for the South, but 10 wins feels live. That puts them squarely into the 6 seed mix. 7 seed, Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert is still elite. The defense is average at best, but the offense drags them across the line. It's the type of team you don't trust in January, but you bet them to get there. NFC East. The Eagles stand on top of the NFC East board. Odds sit around minus 150. That's a 60% implied chance to repeat. Why the price? Because the roster is still loaded. Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Saquon Barkley paid and healthy. Vic Fangio's defense ranked number 1 in the league last season. Philadelphia went 14-3, then ripped through the postseason on their way to a title. Yes, they lost some depth. Yes, there are new coaches in the room. The schedule is tougher too, but the foundation remains. Elite quarterback play, elite defense, and a proven culture. Now look at the challengers. Washington has added talent around Jaden Daniels, but that defense is unsteady. Dallas lost Micah Parsons, and their defense looks soft. The Giants are still in rebuild mode with long odds. So the question is simple. Do you lay the chalk on Philadelphia at minus 150? From an expected value standpoint, the answer leans yes. The implied 60% matches what most models project. If anything, it might be a touch low. The best bet NFC East, Philadelphia Eagles at minus 150. Not flashy, not plus money, but sharp and justified. And NFC North. The pick here is Detroit, and the numbers show why. The Lions are priced around plus 185 to win the North. That's about a 20% implied chance. On the board, Green Bay sits close, but Detroit still has the edge. Last season, the Lions dominated. They won 15 games. They swept the division. They went 8-0 on the road, something almost no team does. Their offense ranks 2nd in DVOA, top 5 in EPA, balanced, efficient, and explosive. Yes, there are concerns. Both coordinators left for head coaching jobs. Center Frank Ragnow retired. A few defensive starters are dealing with injuries, but the core roster is still one of the deepest in football. Jared Goff is steady. The run game is elite. The defense bends but rarely breaks. So what about the bet? At plus 185, the books give them about a 1 in 5 shot. But based on production, the true odds are closer to 1 in 4. That difference creates positive expected value. Best bet, NFC North, Detroit Lions to win the division at plus 185. Proven engine, still the class of the North. AFC South. The NFC South is messy, and messy means opportunity. The books have Tampa Bay as the favorite at about minus 110. That's a 52% implied chance. Atlanta comes in at plus 225, or 31%. Carolina and New Orleans trail far behind. Tampa has won this division 4 straight years. Baker Mayfield keeps the offense steady and the defense remains solid. Projection models put their true chance to win closer to 60%. That's better than the price you're paying, so the chalk is justified. But the sharper play might be Atlanta. New coaching staff, a new look at quarterback, young playmakers with upside. At plus 225, the market gives them a 31% chance, but projections lean closer to 35 or even 38. That's where the value lives. Carolina, too thin. 7 wins is the projection, not enough to take the crown. The Saints, 15-1 odds for a reason, rebuilding, not ready. So the bet comes down to this. Do you lay short chalk on Tampa, or do you hunt value on Atlanta? Best bet, NFC South, Atlanta Falcons at plus 225. Not the safest pick. But in a division this wide open, it's the sharp one. NFC West. The pick here is San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are listed around plus 160 to win the West. That's about a 38% implied chance. The Rams sit close behind. Seattle and Arizona are long shots. Last season was ugly on paper. 6 wins, 11 losses, their worst record since 2018. But look deeper. Their DVOA still rated top tier. In fact, it was the best efficiency ever recorded by a team with 11 losses. That tells you the underlying talent is still there. Now the roster is healthier. Christian McCaffrey returns. Brandon Ayuk is back in the fold. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch doubled down on continuity instead of blowing it up. That matters. The schedule flips too. From one of the hardest slates in 2024 to one of the easiest in 2025. They get matchups against weaker AFC South and NFC South opponents. That swing alone can mean 2 to 3 extra wins. E-Defense also reset with Robert Saleh back as coordinator. He built this unit once before, and now he returns to run the same scheme with familiar pieces. So it's plus 160 fair? The books say 38%. With this roster, this schedule, this coaching staff, the real number should sit closer to 45. That gap is where the value lives. Best bet, NFC West. San Francisco 49ers to win the division at plus 160. Not hype, just math. NFC wildcard picks. 5 seed, Green Bay Packers. The Packers are priced around minus 128 to make the playoffs. That's a 56% implied chance. Analytics models push their true odds closer to 65%. Jordan Love is steady, the offense is efficient, and the defense is improving under a new scheme. That's enough to trust Green Bay as the 5 seed. 6 seed, Washington Commanders. The Commanders aren't just a sleeper anymore. They proved it last season. They reached the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1991. They upset the Lions in the divisional round. They knocked out Tampa Bay, and they pushed Philadelphia deep into January. Jaden Daniels did it as a rookie. He set playoff records for passing yards, rushing yards, and efficiency. Now he enters year 2 with confidence. Add in Deebo Samuel. Add in Laramie Tunsil. The offense is stronger. 7 seed, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa checks in around minus 165 to make the playoffs. That's 62% implied. They finished 10-7 last year and captured a 4th straight NFC South title. That wraps the board. Let's recap the division winners and wild cards. In the AFC, Bills, Ravens, Jaguars, Broncos, with wild card spots going to the Chiefs, Texans, and Chargers. In the NFC, Eagles, Lions, Falcons, 49ers, with wild card spots for the Packers, Rams, and Buccaneers. That's your playoff map. And remember, futures are a season-long sweat. These bets live and die on health, schedules, and momentum. The edge comes from seeing value before the market shifts. Drop a comment with your favorite futures bet, and make sure you're subscribed for weekly updates as we track these picks all season long.